My Love of Life Energy is a podcast created by Anna Scott. Anna knows that every human being sees life uniquely. In this podcast, she will talk to people and learn from them. These conversations are to shine the brilliance of each human being she speaks to. Join her. After each exploration, you will expand on your insights and see truth and beauty. Welcome to my podcast, My Love of Life. This is Anna Scott, and I am tickled pink is not the word. Excited. I maybe wet myself because I am I'm getting to speak with today Rob Cook. And Rob is, Rob is probably one of the most, he's just such a special human being. And how I got to experience Rob is Rob came in as a guest of Michael Neal on Supercoach, and he was a guinea pig. Yeah. And he did a 3-day intensive with Michael, and I watched Rob come into being and witness him and him fall out of his thinking and become the magical, powerful, beautiful, like you're a change agent in life. That's how I see you, as a change agent in life. Powerful influencer in life to wake people up. So with that, welcome, Rob Cook.
Man, thank you. And I don't think I've ever had an introduction like that. like if that's, man, bring me back whenever you want. If you introducing me like that, bring me back whenever you want. I am here. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here. But again, it's funny because I'm more excited to be on the Anna Scott show than I remember watching you in programs and just going like, man, she's so wise. Like, man, she's so cool, or she's so funny. Like all of it, like all of it. So I am excited to be here as well.
Well, now that we're having our mutual admiration society, Rob, you really saw something, and you're really seeing something. We both come from this understanding of the 3 principles, and both work with Michael. But I would love you to share what it is that you saw, what's impacted you.
Man, so much. But I guess the biggest was I wasn't broken. that was the big one. I wasn't broken. I guess next biggest was realizing I didn't have to carry my life around on my back. Because I cared so much that every time I showed up for anything, I was exhausted. And I didn't have a chance to fully respond to it because I just didn't have any energy to meet the experience because of all of my overwhelming thinking that I brought to the situation to start with. Or my can of gas that I used to carry. For what would be race relation issues or what would be veteran enemy issues, and light something up that didn't need to be on fire and light it on fire. Like I was just so unknowing of how the human experience worked that I was in, I don't know, it's worse than prison. Honestly, because the time I spent in a jail cell was much easier than living.
Oh, wow. Holy wow.
It was
Can you say more about that? Because what you just said was like a wave just hit me.
Well, when so the military have their own criminal justice system. And the rules, what we call the UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, has a different set of rules than society. So if you were to get in trouble with the civilian police and say you got off scot-free, with the civilian police, great. But you're still a military member, so you have to come to a court martial, or your commander or somebody still gives you a form of punishment or judgment, or so to speak. And so I had got involved in an alcohol-related incident in, I think, 2014, 2015, that I had to go to military prison for. And it's funny because I had a military lawyer, and because they thought the same way I thought, it was like, oh, it's over. And my wife now got me a civilian lawyer because she didn't understand how the military worked. My family didn't know how the military worked. They just knew jail. They didn't, it did make sense to them. I was like, I'm still in the active duty military. It's a long story, can't explain it, blah, blah, blah. My civilian lawyer was like, hey, I got good news and bad news. He says, the good news is I've got this all sorted out. It won't be on your record. You'll be fine. You'll be back active duty. Everything will be, the wrongs will be righted, so to speak. He says, the bad news is I don't know how long that's going to take. It could be 1 month, be 6 years, but I need you to stay the course, because at any point, if you have a problem, if you have an altercation, if you have an issue, then it won't be removed from your record. And once your military time ends, you'll be a felon.
Oh, wow.
And so that was what the beginning of my experience in jail was. From the place of, I can't fight you when you call me that word that some use racially to describe blacks. I can't even fight you, because this fight could be the difference in me being a felon or free. But it was the first time I started realizing how much power I really had when the priority was changed in front of me. Didn't know what it meant, didn't know how it all play. I just saw that it had happened. What was so interesting, or what was so powerful and that intensive, was Michael made sense of my entire life for me. He made sense of everything I had ever been through. He had made sense of my ups. He had made sense of my downs. And although I could not understand it intellectually, it sure as hell made sense in my heart.
Yeah, you could feel it.
I could feel it. Yeah, I couldn't fight it either. As much as I may have wanted to, because what I knew was comfortable, I couldn't. And wrapping my mind around that I wasn't broken, anything was possible, and this understanding, it just changed the game. It literally changed the game. It was nothing is the same for me now. If you would have looked at, if I compare myself to what I was like pre-principles to now, because a lot of the things I said and did from my previous time were all based on the thinking of somebody else. It was all what others thought I should do. It was all what I had to do to fit in. It was what I had to do to make others happy. I was the responsible thing to do. Everything, even situations I didn't want to be angry about because of my affiliation with this, I had to be angry about them. And so I had to conjure up a response of anger when I didn't really have it inside. And so, yeah, man, it was like this. The easiest way I say it now is fitting in sucks. That's what I'll say now. I say, fitting in sucks. And now that I don't try to do it anymore, it seems to have one hell of a spotlight on me.
Wow.
Because I'm done with it. There's a few things that I'm done with in my life. One is fighting. The other one is hating. And the third one is fitting in.
Wow. I don't even, hold on. There's so much, like my mind is like, going, but what about this? What about this? And I'm so curious what you saw. Like, you really saw something that didn't make those didn't make sense. Fitting in, hating.
Oh yeah, no. And I mean, they didn't happen necessarily at that moment, but they were the thread snatched the whole sweater to before long, it was all falling apart. I think the real first thing I dove into was what do I do about my past? Because I had used that to identify myself. The hatred thing came about. I realized, okay, excuse me, if this understanding.
Hold on, I got to interrupt you, right? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have to, because you just said something so powerful that if people understood what you just said and we pause there for a second, it's so revolutionary that you used your past to identify you. And what I felt in that moment when you don't do that is this complete freedom.
Oh, absolutely.
But no, like you're going like it was like one of those things, like I got an ice cream cone or I got a cup of coffee,
Yeah.
but you're like, yeah, I don't identify with my past anymore. It doesn't identify me.
No.
I'm like, do you realize if more people understood that? That's huge.
Well, I can say something to it. I that particular one I write about now, because it's basically, I think we use about I talked about this. Michael actually, even when I told him about it, he pulled me into a group to talk about it. Before this understanding, I was identified by either my body type being athletic, my preferences being heterosexual, my emotions being a happy person or whatever, my behaviors, the job I had, or I was a military member. The understanding showed me that all of those was inside of who I really was. They didn't identify me. Like I existed before any of those things I said are Robert, to include Robert. Like, again, I was 9. I think my mom tells the story as they was fussing over my name because her and my dad had broke up as high school sweethearts. And we didn't even know if I would get his name, but I am named after my father and my grandfather. But my mom changed my middle name. So I don't have my dad's whole name, but I have Robert, the first name. So even Robert wasn't this. I'd already existed for months before I knew they would call me Robert.
Wow.
So that piece for me was huge, because it took me on the track of learning who, or trying to identify who I was. And it was so funny that I started laughing at myself in the office one day thinking, oh, well, no shit. You could do nothing of value because you're trying to place value on something you couldn't even identify. No wonder your business is shitty. You don't know who you are. How do you expect to ever walk out here and claim a rate or so-called value to what you can provide, and you have no freaking clue who you are, dude? Oh, well, I'm this. No, you're not. Oh, well, I'm that. No, you're not. Like, no, you're not. You know? So, Anna, I promise you, man, the stories may seem dramatic, but maybe that's the way it plays out for me. But I used to come in here and write, like, if this is inside out, then I need to find all the things I hate so I can start working on them one by one so I can stop hating them. And it was, I hate this people group, or I hate this type, or I hate this and this. And it was one day I was in here after I had worked through and dug up a bunch of shit about the past and how I did with this. It was kind of like, wait, if I just stop the I hate, I ain't got to go through this whole damn list. Like, this shit is hard. Like, each one by one, like, jeez. But if I could stop the I hate, right? Well, how do I stop hating? Oh, I got a lot of judgment. So I go back to that. Okay, well, let's get to less judgment. Why do we got less judgment? Because we don't know a lot about people. We know what we think we know about them. And that causes me, or seems very cool, to judge. Then it was like, it kept going back from there. And I also start seeing it in my life. Once I retired from the military in 2017, I was just as close to my friends 2018, 2019. By 2020, I became, well, you're a civilian, Rob. You don't really understand.
Oh, wow.
Motherfucker, I did 21 years. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Well, Rob, you're out now. You're different. You're not really one of us anymore, dude. You know what I mean? Kind of like, oh, wait, what? Like the talks about, their deployments, the talks about the family structure, things don't flow as free with me anymore. And these are dear friends who would fly across and be anywhere I need them to be, and will still do that now probably. But they see me as a civilian, and in their world, that's different.
When you said that, my heart broke for a second, because they're thinking of you.
Mhm.
Like we see the thinking of people and we don't see the humanity
Yeah.
of the person.
I mean, I think they love me, but the conditioning of the structure of the military is us versus them.
Yeah.
I spoke about that at the 3P UK conference. Like that was what I learned earlier when I said I don't want to fight anymore. I'm 44. All of the first 17 to 18 years of my life was fighting the narratives of being a kid who grew up in a single parent household in the projects. Like it was always just trying to show I'm not a fucking thug.
Oh God, sweet man.
Like that was the whole fight then. Granted, I was doing thug shit now, so maybe that didn't help.
Oh, that little thing.
Okay, yeah, that little thing, right? That didn't maybe help the case. No, but I remember getting to 18 and 19 and not having a clue what to do because nobody saw that as possible where I'm from, in a sense. Or lifespan shortly thereafter wasn't much longer unless you made it out playing sports. And so sports were huge for me as a kid, because I thought it would be my way out. Well, it turns out I wasn't that good. Or at least not good enough to get out, right? Oh shit, we need a plan B, Anna, right? Like, oh my God, military. So the military was it. And oddly enough, the military was a very, very bad, or had a bad taste in my family's mouth, because my grandfather, when he came home from the Korean War, he came back to Birmingham, Alabama. And when you leave the military, you get your honorable discharge certificate. It's called the DD Form 214. So that certificate says this person has been honorably discharged. That's your rite of passage to get a job, do this. But if your DD Form 214 says dishonorable discharge, when people look at it, they go, thank you, but we're going to let someone else clean our toilets. That's like how they make us feel from it. Like dishonorable, you can't even get a job cleaning toilets. It's the projection of thought they put on you. When he came home from that in the very segregated South, he went to try to get his corrected because his last name was misspelled. So our family last name was Givhan, Givans. And his was spelled Givins, Givens. And the way my grandfather tells the story is that he was told, N-word, just be happy you're home. Go find a job. Wow. And so my grandfather had 7 kids and they all had children, and we're starting to have children. But when we go to a family reunion, there's 2 names on it because the segregated South wouldn't at least change my grandfather's name to the proper spelling. And so my family pointed that to being in the military. And so they didn't want me to have any parts of it.
I just have to comment on something. This is when I said you're a change maker. I forget what I introduced you, but whatever the word is, I can feel this lineage of the hatred and anger and hurt and betrayal, and you're transforming it.
Oh yeah.
When you said I don't hate anymore.
Yeah, I'm love and light. Like that's it. And that's why I say the tagline under unFIT is to never compromise yourself. Doesn't mean I don't make mistakes, but the moment I realize I'm not showing up as light and love, I'm compromising myself.
Oh God, Rob. It's so funny when you said you you don't carry the burden on your back, or what you said, something about carrying.
Yeah. I don't carry my life on my back. Yeah. In the backpacks, the bricks and the.
And all I felt when you said that is the truth of how much you care, like your love. Like, I think love cares.
Mm-hmm.
And I could just feel that when you said love and light. I'm like, all you do, I feel, is this immense amount of care in you.
Yeah.
That love. Talk about a liberator.
Oh yeah. It's completely again, it's changed everything. I even laugh, and I told Michael one day, I said, I think I'm ready for the white supremacist. And he kind of looked at me. I said, I can love him. Like, I know that about myself now.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
I can love him because I know he just is believing his thinking.
Oh, Rob.
Like, that's it. He is no different than me, no different than any situation. Granted, I mean, the shit, trust me, I'm black. I ain't one for him to be out there like that. But there is not anybody, there is not one if you are breathing, I believe this, man. If you are breathing and somebody will do what I consider Michael did for me, is just set a space, just set a space of non-judgment and love for me to see something else, then that could happen for somebody else. Because I come from a place, Anna, where how me and you are embracing now, I show up with you and introduce you to my family, and I'm having to have very many sidebar conversations with you. Hey, don't take that personal. Hey, that's just how they is. Hey, okay, okay, Anna, we're just gonna leave.
I need to share this with you. When I was a little girl, my mother made me watch. She sat me down and made me watch A Patch of Blue and To Sir with Love. I don't know if you know those Sidney Poitiers, and it was about race. And my mother would say, human beings, we've learned all this technology, but we haven't learned how to be kind to each other. And what I feel is that you're going to be the liberator. Like, you have the presence and the capacity to do it, because what you're saying is the truth. Oh. And we just need to be liberated. We need to be let out of our jail of our thinking. Oh. Profound.
I believe it.
I know you do.
It's almost like it's funny because I get people will ask me, hey, where do you stand on this issue? Or where do you stand on this issue? And sometimes I'll beat myself up, like maybe I should get involved in the issues more, or maybe I should have a stance on this, that, and then I always come back to, does it conflict love and light? Then I don't stand for it. Like, and I never have to get in the weeds. Like, I'm serious, man. I don't like fighting. I don't like having an enemy. And that's been the first 40 years of my life. There has been a clearly identified enemy. One that I'm at war with, one that I strategize how to defeat. And I don't want that anymore. Like, I literally just enjoy rolling up on somebody in the grocery store and be like, hey, how your day going? And they be like, whoa, dude, you are, or somebody seeing me in my pajamas and Crocs and going, you need some help? Like, no, why you think that? It's like, you got on pajamas and Crocs. Oh yeah, I just like, like, not taking it so serious. Still having problems, still facing issues. It's not that life became perfect, but man, the relationship I have when it comes to I think the best I've ever heard it was Win Morgan. Win says, I'm just at peace with being a human being. That's all I've gotten to. I'm just at peace with being a human being. Like, the moment my eyes wake up, Lori, my wife, she picks with me so much. She says she works at a presidential library. And so the moment she wakes up, she could be hit with 50 emails, or because her staff is like 500. She can have 10, she can have 50. And she says on the days that her mornings start off the rails, so to speak, she says what brings her back is that if she could make it upstairs and watch me wake up. She says, because I do it. Yeah, she says, I do it the same every day. She says, one, this face of mine looks shocked. And she says, you kind of look around like, oh shit, I made it. And she says, all of a sudden, I could see your excitement begin to, and you just pop up out of bed. And I said, what I say to myself is, oh, I got a chance. I got a shot. Like, I'm still playing the game. I'm living. Like, I'm living. That's it. I'm still playing the game. And then at that point, I'm coming downstairs. I talk shit to my dogs, make it over to my coffee, regularly. But I start the morning with just this excitement about being in the game, like, period. I don't care what the game is of the day. Like, no, I don't like hearing, my brother going through things with the loss of a child, my sister going through a custody issue. Like, no, I don't like any of those. But man, I sure as hell like the opportunity to experience them by being alive.
Yeah. I was just reflecting on what takes me out of the now, being present. And I realize when it's that I just don't want to experience whatever I'm experiencing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But whatever I'm experiencing is all part of life, all of it.
Yeah.
All of it, the tragedy, the sorrow, the grief, the rage, the love. It's all of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
All of it. Yeah.
That helped me so much slow down and stay present, because again, the military was about follow the path, next step, get to the spot, this and that. And I came into my civilian life like thinking I had to make up so much ground, or I had so much to cover and these mountains to climb. And I remember listening to George Pransky say something once, and it just hit me like, wait, if mine is omnipresent, meaning everywhere all the time, there's absolutely nowhere I need to go.
Yeah.
I just need to calm down enough to hear it. And the only way I can hear it is to be present. I only got a few things I know to get present with. One is laughing. That's why I'm always fucking laughing. Like, seriously. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm only a trick of what they said. I only got one trick. Is like, whenever shit for me is crazy, I have to laugh, because that stops it right there. And it's funny because that didn't just come into principles. I remember one time we were getting mortar attacked, and we were running, and you're supposed to kind of get into the your bunker and you stay there. But the guy I was running with, he tripped up and fell. And so we're laughing at that, but we're still trying to get the cover. But the fact that we could find that moment in that moment was like it just showed me the different levels of consciousness a person can have about their experience.
God, in the moment.
Yes.
like really, Rob. God, I can't believe it. This is the fastest 30 minutes I've ever had in my life.
We only had 30 minutes because you have a time for 30 minutes. I could talk to Anna Scott all day long.
Well, we're going to do it again because it's too good. You're also, you're a liberator. You're here to transform life. Like not you, but life is coming through. It's so clear to me. And God, there's so many things I want to ask, but like, how do people find you? How do they get to experience more of you? Because what a gift. If a person gets in your presence, that's all they have to do is just get in your presence.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
Where do they connect with you? Seriously.
We could start with obviously the social media platforms. I'm Rob Cook. I am ROBCOOK. You can go out. I have a Facebook group called the unFIT Community. And it's not just about physical health, but it was my understanding that the root word of health is heal. So that's where we start. Mentally, physically, and spiritually, we're talking about getting ourselves into a better space. So you could get into that Facebook group. You can hear me on the 3PGC podcast called We're Listening, which gives me an opportunity to meet some amazing people and drop those biases and become educated about other experiences that I didn't know of and form those ill-advised, thoughts from. And so it is the 3PGC podcast we're listening is available on all your favorite streaming platforms. And you can just go to the website, imrobcook.com. But any of those, you may see something on fitness there. And if fitness is not your thing, still plug in, because right now it's evolving into overall health, because I understand it's a lot deeper than our body image. So that's changing as well. So that's where they can find me.
Whoever gets to be in your presence is blessed.
Thank you.
And it's just you being you. It's really a gift.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. And Rob's coming back. If he'll come back, I want more.
I told you, like, hey, with that introduction, I had to bring it so I could get a invite back. Like, man, that intro was what set the tone for this.
Well, thank you.